two key elements to, I would say, every single page, if you can do it, is to have a full shot of a character who's in the panel and a good shot of their environment. Everything else on this page cannot show full body Wolverine or background. Like this panel can be a close-up of Wolverine angry, but as long as you've got that first panel here of the full body and the full background, it just sets the tone for the whole world, for the whole page. I recently was talking to a guy who had me look through his portfolio, and the cartooning was really nice, but a lot of the panels didn't have any background in them. You need some backgrounds in here. He came back to me with those same pages with backgrounds, improved it greatly. And if you don't want to draw a full body shot, what are you drawing comics for anyways? That's the fun stuff.
And learning art and storytelling with comics should be fun too. At Proco.com/Marvel, we're making fun lessons, teaching you how to make awesome art and learning how to tell stories like professionals in the industry. So come check it out.
And the thing is, this is comics too, so you want to have that action. You want to have that excitement in there. And you know, sometimes the background can slow that down a little bit. It's okay to leave the background out at times. If it's a creepy mad scientist, these are going to work better than a background. On some level, they are some sort of background, but they also like give mood and atmosphere and portray what's happening where we need it all too. You know, you can occasionally, like let's say here, you can do some fun stuff with like panels that look a lot alike. Let's say before Wolverine went into battle here, he had to sneeze. I mean, you can see here, these are very similar panels. It works within the dynamics of the page, but you don't want to do 10 panels like this. Even with this basic structure on a page, you can do so much. You could have a close-up shot, a guy walking down an alley, over the shoulder, people talking. You could do from down below. Now you can even come back to another close-up of the other guy's face. This could be like another dude. He's angry, he goes to throw a punch. Punch comes in the panel, guy dodges it. And if you need to do it this way, start out making comics this way. Just make a 9-panel grid and do it that way. As the dialogue of making comics starts to develop itself in your brain, you'll eventually get to this. But if you need to start this way to learn, there's nothing wrong with that. Even professional dudes draw this way. Jack Kirby, one of the most amazing comic book artists of all time, he's done some amazing battle sequences that were worked in the 9-panel grid. If that's what helps you out, starting that way, then I would say do it all the way. It's a great system. It helps you learn the language of making comics. It takes a little bit of the pressure off of having to think about making it this dynamic, because this can be dynamic too. Like I said, you got head, you got an awesome face shot, you got an alley, you got over the shoulders, you got down below, you got another head, you got a punch being thrown. This guy's avoiding the punch. He's running away. And then what do we want for the last panel? Trips over a pipe. And there you go. Hopefully you will progress into doing this, but even that is fun. I mean, look at that. We got this panel, Wolverine's running, it's cold outside, he sneezes, he gets mad, and I don't know, he's trying to cut the tree down because he sneezed. But then you got the whole page like right next to it, and let's say this cuts to the past or something, who knows, but then you've got this panel with the 9-panel grid, it sets it apart from what this is. And those two pages look fun together. As the artist that I am trying to utilize every space on the page that I possibly can, because it's all awesome real estate. I mean, even if you look at this here, so I got Wolverine running through the snow, right? This hand coming out into this panel, like almost tells the reader exactly where they need to go. There are times when you don't want to use it, you know, like this page here. Probably not any of these panels I can really see going into another panel. You might do something like, even to make the 9-panel grid a little bit more dynamic, let's say the panel is mainly about this guy I just did. You could put him and his shoulders are going off the page here, and he's like, oh my gosh. Because the main point of this page was to show that he was sad about or scared about something. If you look at it like, look, you're still on that 9-panel grid, really. Giving it a little bit something extra that you don't normally see in the 9-panel grid makes it like that much more exciting and such a fun page to look at. But he's not breaking into any other panels. To be honest, we just pulled the panels away from him. You wouldn't want like Wolverine's fins to go out here. This keeps it like nice and tight and clean here. You're gonna find your moments and you're gonna see where you got little spaces that you can like bring it over into, and it's just all about that dynamic comic making. And I think it just really gives it that little extra oomph, you know, when you look at a page or whatever and something's going a little bit more into that other panel. Every page is almost a little cliffhanger because you want everybody to turn the page to the next page. So let's say in the middle of this page, you've got a guy picking his nose. You could do 4 panels of the guy picking his nose. You could have, he's thinking about picking his nose, his hand starts to go up, right? Then you've got another panel shot, picking his nose. And then we got the last panel, got a nice gooey booger. I mean, this is the fun of comics, you know? He's got a nice gooey booger. You could also just use these 2 panels, you know, to do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Like you got this and this. Finger going up, booger coming out. Like I said, this is pacing in comics. This is like, what do I choose to do? And that's the fun about making comics, I think. Like I like to do stuff like this, where it's like a slow little animation of that. But, you know, sometimes you don't have room on the page to do that. And sometimes you might send it back to the writer or editor and they're like,
Aaron, we don't need that many panels of the guy picking his nose.
And I'm just like, oh man, it's really fun to draw that guy picking his nose, you know, but whatever. But yeah, you could do, like I said, you can just do the 2 panels and give it the same effect. And the writer might only have written 2 panels of guy picking his nose. Maybe this guy who was picking his nose here, like hanging out in front of a convenience store. No, what you didn't show was that like Galactus and the Watcher are like fighting and he's down here. He's just a little guy, convenience store, right? And just to add a little love to the story, then we close up on him. He is picking his nose and then the Watcher punches Galactus and then Galactus falls down onto the convenience store. And that's a lot of stuff you got to show on that page. So maybe having 4 panels of the guy picking his nose is not your best idea. But also we've got a lot of exciting things happening and the pacing of this slows it down just a notch. And then you're right back in the action and boom. And that's pacing in comics. And like, you know, there's one of my favorite scenes in a comic where somebody has just died in this comic and the character is really sad and there's 6 panels, the character's standing there. Bloop, bloop, raindrops falling around him. Also in those panels, the colorist did cool things because there was cop cars around, so the lights were shining differently. Then you get to this panel, same shot still, and all of a sudden you see somebody else come in from this side and they've got a jacket in their hand. In this panel here, the guy is putting the jacket on it, helping him out. And then this panel here, walking out of the shot. And the guy who brought him the jacket is walking away too. Once again, somebody might consider this a boring page, but to see something slowly play out like this in comics is always nice too. You could do it with 2 panels. We could have probably done this whole thing in 4 panels, but I think doing it in 6, just that little bit more pacing gives it that little bit more like time to breathe, time to let the characters live. The thing is, if you're going to make comics, the story is the most important thing. You can be a bad artist and still tell a good story. You can draw pinups of Captain America, Spider-Man, and whoever all day long. But to be an actual like comic maker, you have to take this writer's script and put it down on paper. The reader has to follow that and know what's happening on any moment.
After this, check out the rest of the lessons in Marvel's The Art of Storytelling course. We've got working Marvel artists showing you how we make comics with step-by-step structured lessons, some secret behind-the-scenes stuff, and assignments to test and expand your skills. Hop into the world of comics and learn to create your own at Proko.com/Marvel.